Hello, welcome back to Called to Homeschool with me, Meg, your homeschool coach and guide. We have another guest on the podcast today. We have the lovely Amelia who submitted a question, and we're going to go over her question and do some live coaching to answer it. And just a reminder, if you have a question or would like to be on the podcast, make sure you go over to my Instagram, Coach Meg Thomas, and there's a form in my bio or in my weekly newsletter. You can fill it out there. So, anyways, we have Amelia today. Amelia, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and just as
Yeah,
little or as much as you'd like.
sounds good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, Meg. So I live in Wisconsin. I have three kids. My oldest is 7, and then my middle is 4, and my youngest is 2. And I kind of always envisioned myself doing homeschool for a lot of different reasons. I wanted to spend time with my children, and I've been a stay-at-home mom since my oldest was born, and it just kind of felt like the natural thing to do, but I felt really intimidated by it, because I didn't really know a lot of people that did it, and it just kind of felt like I was going out on a limb, I guess. So my oldest stayed home with me. We didn't do 4K or preschool or anything like that. And then when she was in kindergarten, we decided to do part-time school. So in Wisconsin, she was allowed to go to a physical classroom for kind of like the specials, they call it. So music and art, gym, things like that. So we decided to just do that. And then I homeschooled her the rest of the time. And I used I know there's a lot of curriculum out there, but we did, if you've ever heard of the Good and Beautiful curriculum, that's what we were using, which is really great. It was hard, I'm not going to lie, because my son was just a newborn basically when we started. He was only a couple months old. So that was really challenging. And we did get through that year. But then my husband and I decided to send her to school full time for first grade. I'd love to have her back home and do homeschool again, but I'm a little bit, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if worried is the word, but I'm a little bit concerned about certain things because I feel like, there's the curriculum aspect. So she was doing the one curriculum, with me, then she went to school and it was slightly different. And then, she's made friends and I feel like she really likes it there. And I know as her parent, I get to make the best decision I feel for her and for our family. But at the same time, it's tricky if that's what she wants. And so I'm just wondering about like the transition from maybe taking a child that was homeschooled, then went to regular school, then potentially coming back home. And she was getting special help at school too. So she was getting special help in math and reading. So she had academic interventionalists, as they're called. And so there's a little part of me too that's worried about that. Like, what if I don't have the time, or I don't give her what she needs, or she falls behind? I have 1,000 questions about it, but
Yeah.
that's basically that's basically the short gist of it, if that was short. So
Yeah, no, that's such a good question because I feel like I even had a lady at church not too long ago, like, oh, I would love to homeschool, but I don't think my kid wants to. So I think there are
mhm.
a lot more people than you think with this same concern. And maybe they never homeschooled, right? But like, I would really want to, but I'm worried. And the same exact worries. Friends, I like the teachers, right? Like sometimes people think I I always say the word villainify. How do you say that right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
people think that I think all public schools are the devil, and I don't, right? And so it's interesting, right? To hear different things. So I'm gonna read your question and then just we're gonna get into it, okay? So you said a lot of it, but I'll just go back to it. But just to clarify, so she would be going into second grade this year,
Yeah.
yes? Okay, so
Correct.
she did
Yep.
first, okay, so kindergarten, she did a hybrid type thing,
Mhm.
first grade full time, and now you're wanting to bring her back. Okay, so she said my daughter was homeschooled, right? She just said all that. She's developed a lot of friendships with students and teachers. I worry about pulling her out of homeschool again. She seems to listen to better adults, and this is something I actually wanted to touch on. She seems to listen to better to other adults, especially when other kids her age are around. And I don't want to take her away from all the things she enjoys about school. So, any advice on sending a child to school and then going back to homeschool? Okay, so this is such an amazing question. So Um, I like maybe I'm getting on my soapbox right now, but the thing of like, I want her to make the decision. And I totally get that, but she is 7. And so, like, letting her make decisions of what she wears, great. Letting her make a decision of how much of her dinner she eats, fantastic. Letting her make a decision if you're going to watch a show and this is the show she wants to watch, like, great. I would love for you to watch that show, right? But it's almost this cultural thing of like we want our children to be free and to think and to do all these things, and it's a double-edged sword, and it's so interesting because she couldn't legally smoke, she couldn't legally go drink, she can't drive, she can't do all of these things because we're like she doesn't have the cognitive abilities to make those big kinds of decisions. And then we come back and we're like, but she should know what would be best for her for schooling and her education. Right? And so when we look at it from that way, it's like, right, she's still a child. She's gonna pick what's most fun or what's, like, feels the best in the moment. So if I ask my boys, like, "What do we wanna do every single day?" They'd be like, "We should buy a video game console, and we should play video games all day. You should make us pizza. Better yet, let's get store-bought pizza," right? So, like, it's so interesting that we want them to make these decisions, but we give them too big of a decision, like something like their education, that they can't really understand the consequences or the choices of their decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any follow-up questions with that?
No, I think that that you said it exactly. Exactly. I know, I feel like there's a part of me that like knows and understands that. Um, it just feels hard. I think there's like some part of me, and I don't even know what it would be called, that like wants her to choose me and wants her to be home with
Yes.
me.
So
But
that's the issue is that
no,
she might
yeah,
be upset with you.
yeah,
And
for
no
sure.
parent wants that, right? Like a lot of times we don't want to get to have them do chores or brush their teeth or do something because we're like, I don't want the fight. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
you to be mad at me. I don't want you to do this. But then there are other things that, like a seatbelt, that you're like, whatever, be mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are certain things that we're like, it's fine, be mad at me with this one because, like, there's what am I going to do? I'm not going to go write my congressman and say, like, I don't want this law. Or maybe you feel really passionate about it, right? But if you really feel passionate about something, you're like, it's totally okay for you to be grumpy with me.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
So as I was looking at with some of this stuff and thinking about this, it like I like to sell it to my own kids, right? Like this is so fun and we're gonna do this, right? I have a lot of high energy, so like I'm always trying to sell it, and like this is amazing. And I don't like to bag on public schools. I have noticed that kids will naturally bag on public schools to my kids for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have
Mm-hmm.
so much homework and this was so hard and this stinks and we're in a desk all day. And I was like, oh wow, like I don't even have to say anything, right? Because that's not my style. But but like sell it of the fun things you're going to do, but then honor her that she might be sad. And
Mm-hmm.
just like, what could we do? And so if you have, I love a breakup basket is what I love to call it. And so when you're breaking up with a school, like I broke up with my orthodontist or I broke up with somebody that I like, this relationship's not working and serving anymore. But like going to the school and giving a lovely basket to the teachers or the administration of just like, you guys were so good to my daughter. Like, there's no reason to leave anything on bad terms. Right. And so having her do a picture for her old teacher or something for the administration, if you're like, this principal was awesome or this was amazing. But then, as far as friends, too, of helping her to see that it's not the end of the world and even scheduling play dates and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like having a plan. So, when school starts, the first day of school, and this episode will actually come out after first day of school has started, but this will like that's why we do happy not first day of school, right? Is because my kids
Mm-hmm.
would see other kids getting on the bus, or we live really close to an elementary school. So all the neighborhood kids are walking to the elementary school. They have their new clothes, their new backpack, their new scooters, like all the things. And my kids would see that. And I was like, well, I don't need a bag on it or mock that,
Mm-hmm.
or like that does look fun. And so we started happy not first day of school. And so some years it has been epic of like we've gone on a vacation, even just hiking, backpacking. Some years it's going to a park and we'd go to Little Caesars and grab a pizza and then the dollar store and like everybody could get 3 items that they wanted, anything they wanted. One year I had a newborn that was crazy. So I was like, we can watch movies all day long. Like whatever movie you want, like this is it. No chores, stay in your pajamas, don't brush your teeth, right? And so every year it's a little bit different, but it's something my kids look forward to. So just like other kids are looking forward to, like, oh, I got this new top or I got this new thing and I can't wait to see, just giving them something to look forward to. And then also having a plan. And so when people do start school and maybe they're seeing some of those things, of like, okay, well, we're going to go to the park. And you may be surprised that there might be other homeschoolers in the area, or there might be people with some younger kids that your kids could connect with. But that it's that you have a plan, that we're not just going to sit around and be sad and bored, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, we're going to do
Mhm.
these fun things. And then when school is done, we're totally available and
Mhm.
setting up play dates and having these things. And that's, like, what I've done with all of my kids, right? And so, like, my kids are allowed to hang out with public school kids, right? And so when they would come home from school, they'd, like, make sure their schoolwork was done so that they could just hang out, and it was interesting because sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, they have to do their chores or they have to do their homework." Like, it's such a drag that their day is so long, right? And so
Mhm.
just some ideas with that. Any questions with that first day of school and any thoughts or worries with that?
I don't think so. I We also live really close to an elementary school. So
Mhm.
and our neighbors have kids that are really close to, our kids' age. And so yeah, that would definitely be a really good idea, I think, to kind of, make it feel special. I have in the past tried to make it special. I think even this last year when we did send her to first grade, I put up like a little banner that's like happy first day of school. And I get them like these little, the dollar store, amazing little
Yeah.
little dollar store like baskets, and we put like little, new markers
Yeah.
and little goodies in there. And I even did it for my ones that aren't quite in school yet, but they just love it. um so I think that's a great idea. And I love the idea, like the other ideas too, about, maybe even getting away from
Mhm.
the area. So it's like, oh, I don't have to look out the window and see all the kids walking with their new things. We can
Yes.
go hiking or whatever. That's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, we did. Last year, we actually did. I just would take my 2 little boys because my other kids are big. So they were like,
Hmm.
we work full time or they didn't live here. And so we went and hit up a lot. Utah has 5 national parks. So we're like, let's see how many we can hit. So we were able to go to 4 of them, right? And so
Love
we're
that.
like, this is amazing and this is so fun. And like, it was great. I let them watch TV at night and they're like, this is epic. This is so amazing. And we ate out and right. And then would go on these amazing hikes throughout Utah. And so, like, finding dreamy places in Wisconsin that, like, this would be so fun. And sleepover or don't sleep over. Like, that was part of the fun for us, as was a hotel room because they're like, what? This is so
Yeah.
cool. You can tell I'm a big spender, right? So just something to make it special, but also holding space for her that she might be sad.
Yeah.
And that is the piece that we don't want. And that is what we want to avoid. Like, what, as parents, we try to avoid it. Like, don't be upset with me. Don't be mad. But just like my boys really want a VR headset, I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. It would. We could do all these games. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be amazing. I'm still not
Mm-hmm.
getting one, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
welcome to buy one when they move out of my house. And by that time, my kids are usually old enough to be like, thanks, mom, for not just giving us video games and like checking out all the time, right?
Hmm.
But another piece I really wanted to focus on with you too is this: she seems to listen better to other adults.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Yes.
that so do you want to give me a little bit of like an example or something with that?
Sure. I don't know. I feel like I've heard my friends say similar things about with their kids, that are similar ages with her. Um, but I remember when we were doing homeschool in kindergarten, there were a lot of times where I would say, "Okay, I need you to I need you to write your name." And we were just like doing your first name, and it was tracing. We're just going to trace this. And I'd say something like, "Okay, I got to run upstairs for just a second to change your brother, and I'll be right back, okay?" And I would and that was one of the really hard things about homeschool, which for kindergarten year, which I think was part of the reason why we decided to put her in school for first grade, is I kind of needed her. And it sounds crazy when I say it out loud. I kind of needed my kindergartner to do work by herself, but it was hard balancing the other kiddos. but I would leave and then I would come back downstairs and she would have scribbled like all over her paper and be hiding under our little table, or she'd be like off doing something else. And I'd say, "What is going on? What did we do here?" Or I'd try to get her to do something and she'd say, "No, I don't want to do that," or she'd run away. But with first grade, I know, her teachers would say to me when we would talk at conferences or something, like sometimes she gets a little off track or a little bit distracted, but as soon as I, get her attention or I say, "Hey, time to focus back with the group," she's really good at coming back and back to things. And since she's my oldest, I don't know if it, like I said, if it helps that she is around other kids and maybe, oh gosh, I don't want to say peer pressure. That sounds
No, you're good.
icky, but like a peer pressure to behave, since she's my oldest at my house, and I think the other thing was, oh, my brother and sister don't have to do school because, my other kids were 3 and 0, like a
Right.
couple months old. And I tried to get my 3-year-old to do a little bit, but my 3-year-old wasn't super interested. So I think there's a lot of components to that, but
Yeah, so
yeah,
I just want to address
tricky.
this really quick because this is a common thing that I've heard lots of times, right? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
this to me is just a parenting issue because if she won't listen to you about school, she's probably not listening to you about other things, right?
Mm. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's kind of two pieces. So with this, with school, with homeschool, like public school does a really good job of like getting really young kids to do amazing stuff really fast. But then they don't really care that about sixth grade, seventh grade, that they start losing interest. And by high school, they're like, come on, you can just finish. And they don't even care what they're doing anymore. Right.
That's true. Yeah.
So if you look at
Hmm.
elementary, kindergarten to fourth grade, I mean, they are just like they're reading really fast and they're doing all of this math really fast. And then they lose interest. And we're like, well, that's just a thing that kids don't love school anymore after this time. But part of it is because they have fire hosed them with information.
Hmm.
So if you look at like Finland, I know in the homeschool world is really big right now because they wait till 8 to start any actual structured learning. And
Hmm.
yet they're having, and they have big recess and all these things, and they're having the highest test scores, and the children of Finland are doing really, really well. And so it's kind of this lie we've been sold that little kids need to be doing these things by a certain age. So it's actually telling me that she's not ready. Like it was too much
Mm.
too soon. So I
Yeah.
think the good and the beautiful is good and very beautiful,
Yep.
but I have seen it completely squash too many kids' love of learning.
Mm.
So I do not use
Yeah.
it because I've tried it and like out of my seven, only one of my children liked it, but she was older by the time that she liked it, and she's actually my most what's like most intellectual, like loves to study for fun.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
She's the one who has a podcast. I'm like, and we should all care about Epstein. Like, so she's like a total intellectual. She loves politics. So, like, she was my only kid to love it. And all my other kids were like, my boys thought it was way too girly. And my other girl was like, I'm
Mm.
bored.
I could
So
see that. Hmm.
take it with a grain of salt. But like, there is no reason why a 7-year-old needs to be doing more than 15, 20 minutes of school a day of structured learning because
Hmm.
your life is learning. You're going on a hike with your cute
Mm.
kids. Like we're going to go to the aquarium this afternoon, right? And so we're going to see all these signs and there's the otters and then we're going to ask questions about it and he just loves all the animals, right? And so all of a sudden it's this humongous science lesson that it's not really structured learning.
Right.
We do yard work. So on Saturday, my youngest and I go, hey, let's make your yard work chore that we harvest green beans together and raspberries together. And he was like, absolutely. And then we talked about, he was like, I could create a business where I do beans and like, why, because we actually harvested our own beans to then plant the beans. So like so many gardening lessons in there and so many things I just love and like naturally.
Hmm.
We've been hiking, right? So all of a sudden, what's this rock? What's this thing? What is this thing? And then he even grabbed a stick that it was like the perfect stick. And so he came home and dad showed him how to whittle it. And
Mm.
then brother showed him how to burn your name into it. We have like a little tool where you can burn into wood. I don't know what it's called.
Hmm.
That's like very Charlotte Masony handiworks. So I was like, there is art, there is science, there was PE, there was nature study, there was all of this stuff that was never part of our structured learning. that was
Mm,
just part of our
mhm.
life. And now he's 8 and he finally is like, reading's actually kind of fun. And so his school can be a little bit longer, but even his structured learning at 8 years old is maybe 30 minutes tops. And part of that is me reading to him.
Sure. Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
part of it is like they're really motivated by fun. And this is a
Yeah.
total leap of faith that I'm like suggesting because it when you have the neighbor kid at 7 reading or doing math facts that you're like, my kid doesn't know any subtraction
Mhm.
or something like
Mhm.
that. Like I can come into it now with a lot more I don't even have to have faith because I know it works because I have 6 big kids that I did this with that I'm like, yeah, he'll totally get it when he's ready. And now my 14-year-old is like, challenge me. What more can you do? And for years, we were like as simple as humanly possible because he was like, I hate it. So we made it as simple and as fun as possible. And now at 14, he's like, challenge me. I am so ready for more. This is easy. I didn't know I was so good at algebra because we just did the basic math facts for so long that he was like,
Yeah.
I could do it in my head really fast. So I'm asking you to borrow some of my faith with this of like less can be more a lot of
Yeah.
times by reading them beautiful stories, having artwork. I even print, oh, here's a picture. I have these all around my house, but like beautiful little artwork pictures, and there are
Yeah.
bookmarks, right? Little things like that, hanging up pictures. You have nature in the back, right? A little artwork. If you're
Mhm.
religious, having pictures of your Savior in the background. So just things that are just inspiring, the music that you listen to, right? And it can be
Yeah.
fun stuff. We would always do a fifth of Beethoven, like it's the disco version of a fifth of Beethoven, right? Beethoven's fifth. And like having fun with it. And so like we would do classical music and modern day music. And one of my sons is a musician. And so this is so funny. My 8-year-old, because he's been raised with big people, he's like Free Bird by Leonard Skinner is his favorite song. And he's like, listen to this epic guitar solo. It is not one guitar, mom. It is three. And then he was making me listen to the different types of guitars going and overlaying. And I was like, that is music class, right? And
Yeah.
then he
Yeah.
and I will do piano together and he and I will play the ukulele together a little bit, but like life is inspiring. Life is doing so much fun. And so that they want to come and do these things and they're
Mhm.
ready for more and asking questions. And so when we were on our hike yesterday, um, Utah has a lot of rocks, right? And so, like, really rocky mountains. And he was like, why are there so many lines in it? Why are they so many different colors? And sometimes I know the answers. And if I don't, and if I have internet, I'll actually use my Google Lens. And like, what bug
Mhm.
is this? What thing is this? Like, why is the rock a different color? And if I do know it, and I'm like, I'm not sure why that one's purple, but I know red rock is because there's iron in it. He's like, ooh, I wonder what the element is in the purple rock. And I was like, I know, we should look that up when we get home. And if he still cares, we'll look it up. But he obviously forgot because I don't know the answer. Right. So
Yeah.
it's just like it gets to be homeschool gets to be so much fun because it's now this family culture and different things like that.
Mm,
So as you were saying that like she would listen at school, school is consequences and fear-based learning, right?
mm.
So you don't do it, you get a bad grade, you get held in during recess, you get kicked out of a class, right? It's all consequences and fear. So grades is fear-based, right? It's not like did you master it or and like I want to and I don't even fault the teachers for it. It's the way the system is set up. Is like
Yeah.
teachers have to teach a certain way. They have to keep up with a certain way. And so then they have to like get everybody going, which is really hard when you have 30 kids. So to
Yeah.
me, if a little kid is distracted, like we need to go out and play for a little bit. We need to
Mhm.
go run around. And maybe we start our day with some physical exercise. With 5 boys, we started a lot of our mornings with running around. Like, hey, we need to take a break. Everybody go outside and wrestle for a little bit, right? Like, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to fight that. And so just even noticing like with parenting, parenting is all about connection and leading with love while holding firm boundaries. But remembering those boundaries are about safety and not control. So it's not like you need to be doing 3 hours of schoolwork and sit here, sit down, shut up. Like, no, we don't need that may not be a boundary, but it may be like, hey, working with her and saying, okay, so this feels like too much. Let's just write one letter, or like, let's just trace it in the sand, or let's get expo markers on a sliding glass door or a big window or something. Let's make it fun. Something like that. So we're getting the basics of it and it doesn't even feel like school. And so she's like, won't write her name. It's like, well, we have a grandma we want to write a letter to. That would be so fun to write grandma a letter. Wouldn't that be a fun surprise? So it's not even school, it's life. And all of a sudden, I think I
Mhm.
have it right here. Someone had a Kool-Aid stand yesterday, so he figured out how to write
Oh,
Kool-Aid and his
yeah.
money sign and all of this stuff, right? And so like I didn't have to say practice writing your letters. He wanted a
Mhm.
Kool-Aid stand. I wasn't home when he started it. And so he made the Kool-Aid by himself. He went up and set up a whole stand, had his little sign. And so they start learning these things because they want to instead of this forced. So any
Mhm.
questions with that?
Um, I don't think so. Everything that you were saying makes a lot of sense to me. Um, for whatever reason, I was just thinking about math because that's something that my daughter has kind of struggled with. She was, according to the school system, behind. And so, like I mentioned at the beginning,
Yeah.
she'd been having some extra help with her, academic interventionist person at the school. And I think it got better, at least by their standards. But I know that she's opened up to me before and said things like, and I didn't know this until school was over, but she'd say things like, I was crying when we had to take a math test at school. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, I just kept crying until my teacher gave me a fidget. And that's all I know. And I unfortunately didn't get a chance to talk to her teacher about it because, like I said, school was already out. Um, but I just think about, like what you were saying about connection and all of those things. I find that if I am saying, hey, we got to sit down and do math like right now, even if I'm saying it in a nice way, she she's like, nope, nope, I don't want to do that. And she'll run away. But if I can come in and be connective with her and maybe play, or if she's got her little animals out, say, oh, I wonder if, are you playing school? Oh, does he know what 2 plus 2 is, or something. And I think, like you were saying too, a big thing is just, meeting them where they're at. And I love what you were saying about, recognizing that there are, you know that faith that has to be there, because you've got. And I think that's hard for me even now, even with
Yeah.
her being in school for this last year, feeling like, oh my goodness, like they're and she comes home with math that I'm like, man, I don't remember having to do that math when I was her age. It was crazy. It was like double digits, or, something plus, like 20 plus blank equals this. And I don't remember having to do that. But then there's like this pressure that you feel because you're like, oh my goodness, but this is what they want us to do. This is what they're supposed to know. This is what neighbor kid knows, or this
Yeah.
is what, cousin knows. And so, I mean, yeah, there's just so much to it, I think. But everything you were saying, I mean, really good. It makes a lot of sense. And it's just good to remember for sure.
Yeah, there were articles I read from Well Educated Heart and on their math section, and some of it was from this guy who was an engineer, like helped with space science. I don't even know what he did. Forgive me, but he talked about that he grew up in a very rural part of America in a one room schoolroom. So like he wasn't that much older than us, but like that he just like lived in that rural of an area, and he was talking about that they just got really good at math facts. So they
Hmm.
could see 2 plus 2 is 4 and they didn't have to think about it. Just like if we see CAT, we don't have to think it's cat. And it totally switched my mentality with math of saying, like, we should make math as easy as reading because a lot of us sit with
Yeah.
reading. And if we've learned to love it and we weren't pressured to read all of these books that we thought were stupid or pressured to read beyond an ability, like, then a lot of us
Hmm.
choose reading for fun, right? There's still book clubs and there's all these things because we don't make women and adult men who do book clubs, we don't make them write book reports and we don't do all these silly things that we've just helped people to love reading. It's like, what if we did that with math? What if like we let
Hmm.
go of the pressure and just like let's this year just get so good at our basic addition and subtractions, like 0 through 9. So every time
Hmm.
she saw 9 plus 9, she knew it was 18 without thinking. 7 plus 6, 13. Oh, this is easy. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I'm really smart at math. I'm
Yeah.
really good, right? And
Yeah.
so it's been interesting with my 14-year-old because we took a lot of time off with things And then he was all worried because he's going to do tackle football. So he's kind of interacting with the public school kids. And he's like, am I behind? Am I stupid? And I was like, oh my gosh. First of all,
Mhm.
behind is made up. Like, let me give you my soapbox, friend. So, but it was funny because then, so we started algebra one already. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy, mom. You've been having me do this stuff for years. And I didn't even know how easy it was. Like, he is now
Mhm.
believes that he's so good at math because he has all of his basic addition, subtraction, timesing, and dividing down without thinking. So now when you're adding 20 plus what equals 15, like five.
Mhm.
Wait, I said that wrong, but you know, what I mean?
I knew what you meant.
13 plus what equals 20, right? And so, like, when it's a leap of faith, right? Because she may look like she is regressing, but what you're doing is actually building a stronger foundation
Mhm.
so that when she is in fifth, sixth grade and she is getting to more complicated math, it's like, well, I can figure this out. I'm smart.
Yeah.
I'm good at math. And then there's no test, right? And I don't think Wisconsin makes you test your kids every year, do they?
I should know this. I don't think so.
Okay,
I
I don't,
don't think
Utah
so.
doesn't. A lot of test states don't make you, right? You can opt out or whatnot. And so it's
Yeah.
like being behind is made up. There's no such thing. Once you graduate high school, even college doesn't have behind, right? Like you have people
Mhm.
in their 60s in college. And yeah, you've got like your 16-year-old every now and then or your fresh 18-year-olds, but you have the whole age and there's no behind. It's like, well, this was a good time of my life to go back to college. So here I am. And now I'm learning this. And we don't do it
Mhm.
with adults. Like, hey, you are a mom of three children. You should have all of these skills. You should be able to make all of these things from scratch. You should be able to do XYZ. Your husband is this age. He should be. We totally don't do that. After we
Mhm.
graduate high school, like for some reason in the public education world, we've decided that we're going to have this made up timeline and children are stupid or really intelligent if they're not on this made up timeline. And it's like your
Mhm.
kid's not on a conveyor belt. And math may actually be a strength for her, but she felt pressure and watch me take a test and I shut down. But I think I'm an intelligent person, right? But then
Yeah.
make me do a time test with no, I can't, no resources, no books, no anything. And all of a sudden I shut down. I'm like, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think with this year's, you're going in to this new school year for yourself. And like, we're going to do this of like,
Mhm.
first making sure that it's okay that she may be upset.
Mhm.
Or like, oh, today would have been a fun day to go to school. And that is really hard for parents to not take that personally. Think like, oh, then I'm doing a bad job. Right. And I was like, oh, I bet it is. I wonder what they're doing today. Maybe we could do something like that at home. Right.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they've forgotten about it. Kids are motivated by fun. So doing things with you, having a lot of fun, those types of things. And then what was the third one I was going to say is going at her level.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so allowing school to be a fun and enjoyable experience because it's at her level.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
That
last
makes sense.
questions or any takeaways for you?
Oh, I just think it's so important to remember, just like what you're saying, that they're not on a conveyor belt, and you know there is no behind. And I mean, in even if there was,
Yeah.
having that mindset isn't going to help create anything positive for you or for your child. And I think she feels that. I think she
Hmm.
feels like these weight of these expectations. I mean, even with reading, she's come home and she said things to me like, "Oh my goodness, like so and so can read these big kid books or these big chapter books," and I think I think there's just so much there, and I just think that that's going to be so important to remember, like I said, is just meeting her where she is and making it fun. And I think that was the big thing that I missed with kindergarten. I was so worried and consumed with, like, we got to get this done. 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 And then I was trying to take care of my newborn, and I was trying to take care of my little toddler. And I just felt like I was pulling my hair out, and I was like, I can't do this. And I was just,
Yeah.
it was just crazy. And I was like, I don't think I could ever do this again. But, it didn't really work for either of us that way. And so I think there's just a lot to consider and really focus on going into this year. So I really appreciate this.
Yeah, no, and it'll be fun to watch like her relationship. And I think it's an interesting thing that like we are so worried about friends at a young age. And
Yeah.
really they need a lot of family time. because they're learning their
100%.
values, they're learning their morals, and public school does not teach social skills,
No.
right? Like you're
Right.
never again in your adult life going to be stuck with other like 30-year-olds just in this classroom. And like we don't get to interact or talk or have help or encouragement or anything, right? It's like we're all on the
Yeah.
same made up level. And so it's just such a fake um environment that we never do again, right? And so
Hmm.
I love the book Parents Need to Matter by More Than Peers by Dr. Gordon Neufeld.
Yes, that's such a good book.
And so I like it's been interesting as like remembering that of these younger years of just like you need mom and you need dad and you need your siblings and friends are a total added bonus. To me, they're like a treat. Like it's
Yeah.
not bad to have a cookie and it's not bad to have a brownie. But if I'm eating just cookies and brownies all day, I'm not like getting the awesome meat from my parents and the awesome stuff from my siblings, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But coming back, like it's going to be such a short time. And once she hit teenage years, then yeah, friends do become a little bit more important. But they're going to have such a strong foundation with mom and dad that they're going to know, like, oh, these friends do things that I'm not comfortable with, right? Even the movies they watch, not like they're out doing
Hmm.
drugs or something, right? But just like they really know who they are. They've had this safe space to be who they are. And peer pressure can be good with some things, it can be encouraging. But while you're trying to figure out like what do I like? How do I do my hair? What like do I care about different socks? Do I care about my shirt is on backwards, right? And having the safe
Yeah.
space to learn who you are. And so when you enter those teenage years, that it's not as awkward
Yeah.
because you have this strong foundation. So I think as
Mhm.
you're going forward of like letting her be okay that this is dumb. And
Yeah.
just like, yeah, sorry, sis. Cool. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
means nothing about you. And she'll
Hmm.
forget about it. That she even said it in an hour.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds
Okay.
good. That's good.
Amelia, you're absolutely amazing. So excited for your family. Friends, if you have questions, make sure you come and get either just write in questions and I'll answer them or come and get coached. Amelia, have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too.